What's the deal? Welcome back. Another episode of the Trio Pod.
We are here.
We're here. What's going on?
We need air horns or something.
We keep saying we need sound effects.
Like, hello.
We keep saying we need sound effects. Right. What's up? What's the deal?
At the end of the evening.
Monday. Happy Monday. Thank you guys again continuously tapping in
Monday.
with
When do we
us.
drop? Thursday? Wednesday?
I know,
Happy
it doesn't
Wednesday.
matter. I know.
Happy Wednesday, guys.
In real time, it's Monday.
I'm still in
Morning, good evening. Right. No.
Happy Monday.
Right.
Hope you had a great weekend.
Girl, man. I'll be sending that on text too, like on emails. Happy girl through the week. Happy Friday. Happy Wednesday.
Why is that like the opening line when we trying to be professional? Like, well, hello, happy Tuesday, Miss Jones. Per my request.
Genuinely, nobody really cares. But it's the formality of work. You're supposed to say, how was the weekend? How,
Not nobody cares, though.
They don't. Not really. Because I really don't want you getting too far deep into what I'm doing. And if I was doing something crazy, I wouldn't be telling you.
I hate when they
Absolutely
ask
not.
in meetings, like, anybody have plans for the weekend? Like, no.
Even if I did, I would not be telling you.
Absolutely
No.
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Right. Well, shit, coming off the weekend, I mean, we hosted, I should say LA Inglewood hosted our first Rolling Loud. Right? Was it our first?
Yes.
I think that was the first.
Yes, in LA for sure. Because I think it was in San Bernardino last year.
That was a
like, why is it
huge
there?
deal. They shut down the SoFi. It looked bomb.
Yeah.
It really looked bomb.
It don't even look like that section or that area.
It
Absolutely
didn't.
not.
Backed
Like-
up traffic on Florence.
Yeah, that was so fire to be able to host. And somebody actually, shout out to the homie Filthy, he mentioned, he was like, to witness the Super Bowl and a Rolling Loud in my lifetime is like mind blowing.
Down the street from
too
probably
much
where so many
money.
people
It's
grew up.
too much.
Yeah, that's like, we don't really get to experience those type of things in our, even though LA I feel like is a staple, it's a landmark. We should be hosting more things like that. But now that Inglewood don't even look like old Inglewood, the fact that you can say downtown Inglewood is like downtown Inglewood.
They created one.
The fact that there's a downtown Inglewood is wild.
And more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You know, it's a downtown Torrance. When I worked in that city, we had like our holiday party and stuff in
Downtown
downtown
Torrance.
Torrance.
I think I've seen
It's
it,
like
yeah.
a strip. It's like bars. It's a whole lot for that particular small area. And I was like, wow. Not that I would frequent,
Right.
moving forward. Not like that. We love
What
Torrance.
you doing around here? No, Get out.
Literally, get out.
Around
Get
these blocks and
out.
shit,
Around these
right?
bars.
Please.
Lost around here?
Right.
No.
Like, what are you doing around here, girl? You looking for the one?
hilarious.
Like, it's time to go.
Crenshaw's
hilarious.
that way. Like,
Hilarious.
But yeah, that was just so dope to be able to, for us to host it. And I actually made a list because it was so many like debates. So many people were like, there's no LA talent, there's not enough, but there actually was. Like,
oh, that's nice.
They highlighted a lot of, artists from LA, or from the
LA.
city, I should say, from the city. Let me not say LA, but from the city. So a few to name. G Perico performed.
oh, did he?
RJ.
Nice. Okay.
Tiger brought out
Deserving.
YG.
Deserving, of course.
Ruchi, Ruchi's from Inglewood.
Okay.
Cam and China, Nana, he's from the Crenshaw district, went to Dorsey. Zoe Osama, Kaylin For Real,
Okay.
Blue Bucks Clan,
It was
OT.
super LA in there.
OT plus more. So
Okay.
that's just a small, but there was way more that performed, but that was just an idea of who came out.
That's nice. That's more than I expected. I didn't.
But on the
yeah.
come up though, it was a lot more on the come up. Like they weren't necessarily focusing on like the mainstream, like our RJs and Tyga and OT and all of them. But they really like, okay, who's in y'all city? Who's buzzing?
I guess
So-
maybe the thing is like who has the platform, like who's really, and LA is still fighting for its footing in the game, which we always have. Nobody has never really respected LA MCs. You know what I'm saying? That since the days of like NWA and things like that. Like post that, it hasn't really been a lot of, credibility for our lyricism and the fact that, we really have people that can really rap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's just, I don't want to say, hey, I don't know if it's a stigma, just like, okay, I don't know, or is it just not our time? Atlanta's had it for the longest time. Detroit has it and has had it for many years. Chicago.
is like the current like
You
drill I
with the
associate,
drill.
even though that's like I guess Brooklyn, but for me it's like Chicago drill.
It's like a lot of that music will adopt and will take in, but then they may not be playing Blue Bucks in like North Carolina,
That's a fact.
Right.
Or something. So I don't know. If,
I feel like the
don't
only
know
person
why.
that pretty much kind of broke through on the like was Nip. right?
I think he was on the ascension of like completely
Because he really
breaking
broke. I
over.
feel like he really crossed over. He was really getting that East Coast fan base
for sure.
He was
Big in New York.
Yeah,
he was big over
really
there.
big in New York. Yeah,
but I think he was on the
He was getting
ascension.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like for sure.
That's a good reference.
Yeah.
Point. We talk about Nipsey every episode.
and we're gonna continue to talk about Nipsey.
Speaking of Nipsey, in the 60s.
Yeah, definitely.
In
let's
the
see.
60s, oh, girl.
Shout out to, I'm going to say his whole
Speaking
government.
of, right,
Hello,
please don't.
Ronnie. Shout out to Unappreciated Clothing. Ronnie laced us with some fly gear. I got Fallon's
Beautiful.
shirt. I
My
left it in the
shirt,
car,
I
sorry.
know.
Thank
Right.
you.
But yeah, I've been flossing, when I'm leaving town and stuff, been wearing my Ronnie gear. He actually has a clothing store, actually like brick and mortar. Please model the very nice
Please.
Crip
LA
blue,
with the
Crip
rose.
blue Unappreciated
Unappreciated.
hat. This is fly. This is some real LA shit. It's so fire. It's a snapback, so we can adjust it to our heads.
I know that's right.
I know that's right.
Right. I need some.
As it
And he
grow
do
out.
right, and he actually has a store. So, but no, shout out to Ronnie
He
for
does.
lacing
It's
us on
on
the trio pod.
Slauson and something, I think. I don't know. We'll
It's
put the
on
description
Slauson,
somewhere.
so
But
it's
yeah,
in the
shout out
hood.
to Ronnie.
It's in the hood near you.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Make sure to Google it first. Know where you at.
Right, know where you at is key.
It's still
It's
LA.
key.
But
yes.
visit the store.
Yes.
Shout out to you. He's been building it over time and just slowly like
Yes.
Well, his brother has
sharing his
a store too, right?
does he? I don't know.
The one that has the light eyes. He used to go to Crenshaw too.
I know you talk. I don't know that he has a store.
He had a shoe store or has
Oh.
a shoe store.
Okay.
I-
Okay, we'll look it up
Yeah,
and
I
come
don't
back
know
and come
his
back
name.
correct next time.
Yeah, I don't know his.
Yeah, I don't know the
where
real-
exactly
the
what it
real
is.
name.
But
I
I
don't
know,
know.
yeah, but I know
The
his
real
brother
name.
has a shoe store too that a lot of them are
Yeah.
patronizing frequently and
Yes.
stuff like that. As far as like
Right.
around the way.
Oh, that's super dope. Yeah, so check him out.
Well, again, thank you, Ronnie, for the gear. We
Yeah,
appreciate you
thank
always. Real
you.
Crenshaw shit. Oh, Crenshaw
Yes.
homeboy.
I
We
know.
go so back.
They
with
got to
him.
tap in with us.
Tap in with us for
Crenshaw
sure.
homies.
Yeah. But yeah, on another music highlight, I definitely wanted to tap in. I've been just trying to figure out, like, what's going on the music scene. LA 211 and Problem actually dropped a song together that I'm fucking with real heavy. Don Will on it, on the beat. It's so 70s playerish, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to highlight Winter Talk. We're gonna drop it right here on the Trio podcast. The actual video, excuse me. We're gonna drop the visual right here on the Trio podcast. It's 211 featuring
Is it an
Problem
exclusive?
produced. It's not an exclusive.
Oh.
It's been out for a couple of weeks.
It's our exclusive.
It's our exclusive.
Right,
But-
right.
Yes, but again, 211 featuring Prob, Don Will on the beat, Winter Talk. Let's drop it.
Is it like the 70s?
Yeah, talk to me nice. You ain't used to my type. Look at how I bust up my life. Fiat-Stones, look how it floss in the night. I would've let you spend the night, but I had to catch a flight. 12 hours to Paris, I'll probably get there tomorrow. Still yesterday in LA while we taking shots at the bar. Sophie tell with these hoes, I'm giving niggas the bar. And Lafayette spending euros to drop it all in the car. Yeah, currency exchange, it ain't adding up the same. I watch these niggas go broke through these millionaire frames. On vacation, niggas still bustin' plays. Never going back broke, bitch, I'm stuck in my ways. Used to sell it for the high, got it wholesale cost. She speaking to me in French, we met at Hotel Cost. Label me chef, in translation the boss. Amiri Louis Vuitton, yeah, bitch, I'm dripping in sauce.
Winter talk, yeah, it's that winter talk. Yeah, it's that winter talk. Look at my shoes, it's how winners walk. So what he up? That boy been a mark. What? Yeah, it's all in the eyes. I fall off or I fall for your lies. Thrive through the darkest of times. That's why that invoice crazy. They gotta pay me in exchange for my time. Nothing's free, but I got some game for you if you catch me out. I'm top 10 on my twin when I was extra'd out. They still tried to etch me out. Shot caller, crew full of ballers. Yeah, we was SB'd out. G4 and hop in the foreign, bro, let's be out. Monetize my mental, my IP presidential, bruh. Global with these vocals, you niggas be residential, bruh. You think you up, but you only worth what they present you, bruh. Get to a champ, you can't keep living off your potential, bruh. Level up like 211 stores in the Eagles. Stick to your purpose, duck the marks.
That was hard, right? Yes. Winter Talk 211 Problem Downwheel on it on the beat. That shit
was nice.
Give
That
me
was
real
dope.
70s playerish. I'm
Yes.
right into it. Music.
It gives you real like LA, like laid back, classic LA vibe, LA feel. Because you know, people always be like, LA music is so chill,
So chill.
like
Right.
it's so
Kickback
relaxed,
music.
it's so kickback for sure, and that's that. And I'm happy that they're, like Fallon said, preserving the culture. I saw a post that I made about Nas when he dropped King Disease 1. And I was like, hip hop is aging and it's taking our faves to move it forward, you know? And I'm like, damn, such as, you know, 211, Prob, like, y'all, you know, they some faves of the city, and
Absolutely.
it's gonna take them to at least feed their fans, like their demo, like, because we still like that.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
we're still patronizing that, pulling up to shows for that.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Shout out to 211's Inglewood, Prob, you know, LA surrounding. They two goats for us, you know. So
Absolutely.
we put some respect on their names heavily. You know, we protect them at all costs. So shout out to 211, shout out to Prob and
Shout out to
Downwheel
Diamond
on it.
Lane, all of you
Diamond Lane.
guys.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. 211 got the his store on, what is it, on
I think it's on
Centinela,
Centinela.
yeah. The Level Up store on
Level Up.
Centinela, yeah. Yeah, so shout out to him, you know, holding that store down. Really got some fly merch for the guys. Get some women's gear in there so we can be laced too, you know.
Okay.
But anyway, yep. So, and then, you know, that was, again, shout out to them. And then, you know, I wanted to also talk about, we went to New York, and I just kind of highlight our
Speaking
New
of the greats.
yeah, we went to New York and talk about our New York trip. That was just, you know, and just making a long story short, it was just an amazing show.
Well, we went to go see Nas his
Oh,
one
yeah,
night.
right. Duh.
Madison Square
Nas
Garden.
at the Madison Square Garden.
Uh-huh.
He had a one night only tour, and he sold it out from top to bottom.
Wow.
When you look
He
around,
brought-
it was like
he
crazy to see
brought
that the
his-
nosebleeds were full.
We're all full.
Yes,
He sold the whole thing
Nas
out.
brought his city out. Like, if there's ever a discussion about Jay, Nas, who can do, I mean, of course Jay can get the garden sold out too,
Yeah.
but let's make no mistakes that the city fucks with Nas the long way. And I mean, like,
Wow.
I mean them ones,
Yeah.
like them
Yeah.
It
ones
wasn't-
was in there.
They was out.
Yeah.
It was them one. Let me tell you,
They knew the word.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
they
But
knew
it
the
was
word.
it was our demographic.
Yes, it was our demo.
Our age
Yes,
group.
When
like,
you look around, it was our age.
It was
maybe,
real-
maybe 32, 33 and up for sure.
for sure, our
It was some
bracket.
older than us. It was some 40-year-olds in there.
Of
It might have been a
course,
little
for sure.
older.
But the
some aunties
guys-
in there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the guys came out. They knew the words. They was high. It was like
Yeah.
a vibe. It was just such a vibe, and I can see how people fall in love with New York. I'm biased of New York.
You
so.
love New York.
Ooh, girl.
You love New
I
York.
do. I text my friend nameless. I was like, it's a whole lot of yous out here. Like, it's a bunch of yous
my
out here.
God.
He's so offended, but I was like, I'm just saying, like,
Right.
if I,
Your personal right.
if I could pack up and leave today, guys.
Oh my God.
I would love
Y'all
to
would
spend more time
have to
in
zoom
Brooklyn.
me in on Tuesday.
Even though that was the only
yeah.
girl I
Wednesday.
went to, but I would love to spend more time in Brooklyn. When I actually went out to Dumbo, which is like the Soho House, I went out to Dumbo. It was a vibe. Kicked it with the homegirl Nyla. Shout out to her for getting me outside on my first night to New York. But she invited me out to Dumbo House, and it was like I'm like, okay, I ain't partied that much because the DJ was just on.
Yeah.
The men were just on, approaching you, buying you drinks. Everybody was just. People
Wow.
thought automatically I was
When
from
Fallon
there.
and I was out there, we was like,
Yeah.
we think a long time ago, guys. We were like, they just smell the LA weather on us. Like, they just know because it was like they knew we wasn't from out
The
here.
vibe,
like
is,
that.
is always different.
It was-
Yeah.
it was.
But New York is
was
such a
amazing.
hodgepodge of people. It's a melting
Oh,
pot. So
absolutely.
you never
I said a
know.
whole transaction go down in front of me. I was like,
Before we get there, before she was in
they
a
be
trance.
swindling
Like,
them.
A transaction.
let me tell you. While Chris was at the Dumbo House, I went to the Tony Award winning Michael Jackson the musical that was amazing.
Wow. Okay.
It was so. It made me appreciate the arts. Like sometimes I can get caught up in seeing stuff. Like
was a
I want
Broadway
to do
play,
that.
right?
Right.
I want to do that. No, like I want to experience the theater a lot more. I want to see the artists in their action and theater etiquette. Like
Right.
you clap, you stop, so they can go on to the next scene. It was so. It was like when you think of a play, you think of just one set. That's it. They transitioned from the Apollo, young Michael, old Michael, and it all was basically shaped around him preparing for the Dangerous tour.
Wow.
That's all it was shaped around, but like it's well received. Like
Yeah.
it is so bomb. Like I would see it again. Like I can't even explain it. And I tried to sneak I didn't try to sneak anything, but
Yeah, she did.
no, I didn't. So I picked up my
picture?
phone to record it to send a text message to Christian because she was on her
something
way
else.
out,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you good? And here come the flashlights. I'm like, yo, shit. Like
They don't play that shit.
no,
you
but
cannot
when I
get
tell
no
you
footage.
that
Right.
that
And
play
I was
was
wondering
so
why I
bomb.
didn't see anything, but that when you told me that afterwards, I'm like, that because I didn't see no like stories.
So
no
Broadway,
nothing.
there's none of that.
No.
Okay.
The theater,
Yeah.
it's literally word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like Nas literally went before we went. I think Charlemagne went last night and just posted and talked about it. But there's no like promotion of it. I wish it was, but that play, if you're in town, I think it's Neil Simon Theater on I think it's 52nd and 8th
Come on,
Street.
New York with the coordinates.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Hold on,
drop
wait,
the
wait.
pen and let us
That's
know
what we
where
say.
it's
Don't
at.
40 seconds.
let me just say this. I don't see how them New Yorkers love to walk, right? So their blocks is like 4 of ours. So
No,
we
for
don't really,
real.
we drive around this town.
Right.
Not be walking.
They
Lot of
believe in
walking.
walking.
A lot of
So we
walking.
had to walk like we stayed on 42nd. The
on
play was on
42nd.
52nd. So it's like, it's a straight shot.
Right.
Them blocks.
Long.
I told
Money
my sister,
long.
I was like, girl, we are Ubering back. You
And
know,
it was
fuck
kind
that.
of nippy, so to be,
How do you do it with the heels, though? I wonder. When,
Oh, I
like,
didn't
you
wear
doing
any
the long
heels.
They don't
distance.
know. They just do it. I don't
They
know
just
how.
walk. They just do it.
They walk.
And I had on boots. I didn't even have on like walking shoes. I had on some cute little ankle boots, a little square heel, but
Right.
nothing pointy. And we got to our seats in the nick of time. We got to our seats and it was the curtains call.
Curtain call.
Boom. But anyhow, that's
Beautiful.
our New York trip. We're planning to revisit like when it get hot a little
Featuring
bit.
Fallon this
I
time.
have
Please feature
heard-
Fallon in favors.
I have heard New York summers are different.
Yeah.
And hit different.
I've heard they're
Yeah, no,
outside.
so I heard
It's a
they
fun-
outside, right?
Yeah.
I heard it's a good time
Because it's cold the whole season, and so
Yeah.
when they
Right.
ready to
They
bust out, they
outside.
ready to
They bounce,
outside.
yeah.
There's
So-
a couple of places I would love to visit. We definitely want to do the Roots picnic in Philly.
Yes.
I would love to go to the Streets of the Legend tour. I know that's coming up soon, so maybe I have to miss that one. That's in Atlanta. That's Jeezy, Rick Ross,
When is
T.I.
that?
It's this month, I want to say. But I'm waiting for that versus. So when y'all drop that
That's
versus,
true,
I'm for
too.
sure flying out to Atlanta
Okay.
for that. That Diddy versus JD. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some things
Money
are
coming.
lined up. So the trio
Right.
take New York. Like reach out to us if you guys in New York and have like a brunch spot you want us to come
Yes.
to. Like let us know in advance.
We did find a brunch spot. Yeah.
in Tribeca. Shout out to you guys. They play all black music.
Right.
Even though we were the
So-
only blacks there.
We were the only
not
black
black.
there, low key. We were. Shout out to the host that had us sitting inside and not outside. Because Fitz was just looking out for another black woman.
That's a
low key.
fact. So
That's
it
what
was
she
really, okay.
doing,
So
low key.
when we got there, right? It was like, oh, put your name on whatever. But
For
you
the
wait,
brunch.
Yeah, but she was like, wait outside.
We went to a restaurant,
Okay.
but they make you wait outside.
And she
then-
like wait out, but the wind had picked up, and it was like it was cold. The sun was out, but it was really
Brick,
cold.
as they
Like
say.
beanies, nigga, I had to have on a coat. I didn't even want to wear, but it was like,
Yeah.
bitch, be
Scarf
smart.
and everything.
You had to
Yeah, be
layer
smart.
it.
Layer,
Be
right?
smart.
Yeah.
So it was like freezing. So we outside, like literally like this, and then it was this black hostess, and she was like, "Tell them to come in. Like, why do you have them
Exactly.
standing out there?"
Right.
And we
Everybody
could
else
tell-
inside.
right? Inside waiting, and we
Literally.
could tell when we walked in, her energy was like, "Yeah, like no, like
Don't
you're not,
leave them
like
out
don't
there.
do that." Right.
Because we were the only ones outside.
We were the only
Everybody else was
ones.
waiting.
'Cause
Because
she
she
told
told
us
us
to
to wait
stay-
outside.
Huh.
Right. And
Everybody else was inside though.
and sis was like, "No, like y'all come
Well, they're
in."
gentrifying everywhere, and that's the conversation that's been happening in New York too. Like they're doing heavy gentrification in New York right now.
I knew it was heavy when-
Brooklyn, Harlem. Well, I don't know so much about Harlem.
No,
but
it
Brooklyn,
is.
Is it Harlem?
Because when
Brooklyn for sure.
President Clinton moved to Harlem after his presidency, that's when
Not
we
President
knew.
Clinton,
Clinton.
child.
That's
Bitch, but
my
1995 and shit.
that's
Girl, you
what
gotta
we.
take it back.
That's what we knew. That's how I learned about gentrification. But
That
it's like
the
he
shift was
moved to
happening.
Harlem. Like what does that mean? You know? And here we are. Yes.
Here we are. Okay. Well, there goes that.
Okay.
Well, I know we definitely got some hot topics.
Not a
on
hot
board.
topic, Lord. Fallon, you segue us out.
I know.
Do not leave it up to hot
It's-
topic.
Right. No. Well,
It's
this
a
one
hot
is-
topic.
It's kind of
It's not.
heavy.
Is it? Which one? Which?
Well, I wanted to get into the
If it's
one.
heavy, let me keep drinking.
Mr. Rodney.
Yes. Yes.
Shout out to Rodney.
I think this is crazy. Like,
Yes.
You watched it, right?
I'm gonna let y'all.
It's
Yeah,
deep.
I'm gonna let
It's
y'all
deep.
hear it, and then we'll build on that.
She remarried. I had a stepfather, and when I was 15 years old, they told me they were getting a divorce, and so I couldn't understand it because my stepfather introduced me to sports. He was like a stabilizing factor in my life because my father was a nut. I asked my mom, I'm like, yo, why are you divorcing this man? She looked in my eyes. She said, because I deserve nice things and he can't give them to me. It fucked me up that a man didn't give her nice things, and so he was disposable. That's how I internalized it. So instantly, I'm not buying a woman's shit. My father lived in the hood, right? When we got divorced, my mom, we bounced around for a second, and then we wound up in this really nice house in this really nice, decent neighborhood. I never really understood how we were able to afford this house. My mom later revealed she had been saving up money her whole life for the moment to buy this house. No, on her own.
Okay.
And she put down the entirety of the deposit. And that man didn't contribute anything into the foundation of that home. And she never told me that part. I really just thought you was a gold digger looking for diamonds and golds, and that changed the lens through which I saw all women. There's an effect of everything that we give our kids. Whatever we tell them, it can have the ability to change everything. That one conversation.
It goes one way or the other.
Bro, it could be that drastic. So give me all the information. Don't give me a part of it. Because you're developing me. And this conversation, I'm gonna hold on to this.
Yeah, that's true. I'm clinging on to your shit.
That was deep.
That was heavy.
That was
like,
a lot.
Wow. I mean, and you think about it, of course, our childhood shapes us. I mean, I think you end up figuring that out once you get into your relationships. Any kind of dating, anything, everything comes up at that time, right? When you have those real close, intimate relationships. So I think Mookie had the point of conversation where it was like, how does what we saw our parents model as far as their relationship statuses, right? Throughout our lives, throughout our childhood, how did that shape our trajectory, I guess, as far as, our own dating patterns, the men that we ended up, dating.
Yeah, that's it.
And I guess it could be said on the mom and the dad side. Or I think a good place to start is how did your mom and dad even break up?
Yeah.
Or are they still together? You know? How about you guys?
Ooh,
What's the story?
This one kind of runs real deep for me because, first of all, just a little bit of backstory. My parents were childhood best friends. Tammy and Sandy literally grew up together, damn near sandbox friends, but only because they married for 2 years. I want to say she said. So to me, I didn't really, because I was very, very young. I was like a baby, toddler when they divorced.
Yeah.
But y'all been friends this whole time, and when y'all get married, y'all couldn't make it work. And that dynamic was because of my grandmother. Rest in peace to my granny. My mother stated that my father was taking care of my grandmother and not taking care of home. So it was more of my grandmother leaning on my father, and he was like, okay, well, my mom needs me. She's like, but no, we need you at home. If that's financially or physically. So my granny was pulling on my dad a lot. My mom said that really kind of was what, shifted them and drove them to divorce, because it was getting so bad to the point where it was breaking up and really dampening the household. Right. Because I could never understand. I'm like, you married your childhood friend and you guys couldn't last. And moving forward, Tammy dated. Tammy, respectfully, Tammy. Respectfully, honey, but Tammy dated. Tammy, my mom dated, and she, if Tammy wanted a boo,
she got one.
She got one, with no problem. So I remember a few boyfriends, you know what I mean? And Tammy has been married 3 times. She's on her 3rd marriage with Ron, so, and I know this is it. I feel like this is it. This is her, she's like, look, we're locked in.
This is it.
Yeah, the final stop.
Yeah, this is the final stop. But the second husband really for me was who was a father. That was the one to me that stepped up, that was like, he stepped up in a role where my dad was always present, but he wasn't, if that makes sense. He was local, he was around, but I would go weeks and months without talking to him. I wouldn't see him. He wasn't active. He wasn't an active father. Great word to put it. Yeah. So Kevin really was the man that stepped up as a stepfather and really played the role. He was as a father-daughter dances. It was the talks every single day. It was the tucking in at night. The tooth fairy conversations, the boy conversations, all of that. He was the one that stepped up, and that was the divorce I did not understand. I could not understand.
I was going to ask you about that.
That was the divorce that I remember vividly crying. And this is actually this is when I was leaving middle school, going into high school, that transition of when we moved to Keniston.
Such a critical part of
this is when we first moved to Keniston. When my mom was divorcing Kevin, I was able to come out of that and buy her first house on Keniston. If y'all know, 60th Keniston is my staple. That's where I grew up. That's the house for me. When she was coming out of divorce, she was able to get with the dude that she was with at the time. He was a real estate agent, and she was able to buy the house. And so that was the divorce I didn't understand, because I was like, why are you divorcing Kevin? Like, I was like...
Did she discuss it, or were you guys
when
too
I was
young?
older.
When you were older. So not at that time.
At that particular time, she didn't... I saw things that was going on. I saw living in hotels. I saw lights cut off, moving around, him not showing up. But it wasn't really disclosed why.
It wasn't discussed.
It wasn't discussed.
Yeah.
At that particular time.
Right.
And then it was really an uncomfortable conversation that me and TK had to step up, and she was like, well, the nigga is in the streets. And when I say in the streets, I mean like in the streets. Like, she's like, do you remember that knock in the middle of the night? Oh, they was coming to look for him.
Oh, okay.
With guns.
Okay.
And y'all just didn't see that part though. Like, they wanted their money from him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you guys had people following you guys to school, and y'all didn't even know it. They were calling my house saying if he didn't show up, with whoop-de-wop, whoop-de-wop.
It was a
like,
safety
I know where
thing.
you guys' kids are. I know what school you guys' kids go to.
Right.
You know, so it was that deep.
Yeah.
That he was on some other shit, and we had no idea. So he kept his street business. He was really holding his whole facade like he was one man at home and really into some whole other shit.
That's really
Quite a few.
right?
That's a lot of them. So at a young age, I'm just thinking like, okay, he's not coming home at a certain time. He's out working. We just knew him to do
you were
one
none the wiser.
trade.
Yeah,
We
as
just
a
knew him to
child,
do
too.
one trade.
Right.
And so did my mom. But and still, until certain things started revealing themselves, until he got knee deep in it, and it started getting real nasty. So that was a divorce again I didn't understand until she was like, this is what it really is. Let me just tell you guys why we're sleeping in this hotel tonight.
Right.
Because we had to leave.
Right, we had to get
It
out.
wasn't
For you
safe.
guys' safety.
So how did that
Shape you.
shape you into like your dating experience, or like
It took a
what
minute
did you take
because
from that and apply there?
it took a minute.
subconsciously or consciously.
Just really, really jaded and not really understanding trust issues for one. Like I was like, I'll never trust a nigga again.
Okay.
You did this to my
Fair point.
mom.
Fair
You did this
point.
to my
Like you
mom.
kept that from
You
that
this
from her,
my
us.
mom.
Yeah.
Like, why would I trust any man, period?
Yeah.
Even with Ron, it took a long time for Ron to come around, and we've always had these conversations because I'm like, I will never trust you. Like, what are your intentions with my mother? What do you want from her?
Yeah.
Because that situation was so traumatic, you know. But for me, it's just really going into a relationship and really just trying to be vulnerable and open and not being so stiff and so hard and
Right.
just allowing to love and to trust.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, if my own father, the man I call a father, can do it to me, why? I'm not going to put it past you.
Right.
You know, so for me, it was just
Like the
having-
expectations are automatically kind of like, I don't even want to invest those kind of expectations into
Absolutely.
you because I'm almost sure you're not going to meet them.
Exactly.
Or you're going to do, I think that's
Absolutely.
very common. Very,
Absolutely.
Very common.
So that was very, very traumatizing for me as a kid, you know, and I remember the scenarios and the scenes so vividly, and just, those are things that I would never forget.
Yeah.
Like, you know, living in hotels and my mom looking a certain way and being a certain way and moving around and him trying to pop back up. And it's weird because he actually found me on Facebook. He found me on Facebook.
Good old
And-
Facebook.
Right, good old Facebook. And
Yeah, that's they stomping
that was
ground,
very because he has a son, you know, and we were his kids then. You know what I mean? We were his kids, and he was a father to me. That's the man that I knew to be a father. Unfortunately, my dad wasn't around. So it's just now that we're here 20 years later or something like that, and he has a whole family. He's remarried. Well, I'm like, well, shit. Like, I just remember having a whole 12 years with you. You know what I mean? And now you have a grown son, and you're married, and you're living your life. But then I don't forget either the shit that you put us through. You know? So I went down memory lane with him for a little bit. That was we moving past that.
Right? I was locked in. I'm
Right,
like, okay, a little therapy session.
Right.
Like,
Should I reset?
Right.
Like, okay, hold on.
Reset,
Right, we
yeah.
shoulda- Girl, I was locked
Okay,
in
how
too.
about you, Mo?
I'm just
I
listening.
don't want to run out of time. I want us to all be
Right.
able to... No.
That
I was tuned in. I'm intrigued.
No, I'm
I'm
looking
interested
at
by
her.
it. Yeah,
The whole frame, I'm just like, damn, really?
for real, because it sticks on you.
Well,
it
thanks
never
for sharing.
leaves you.
Let-
it never leaves.
It's so
Well,
locked in your brain.
I'm surprised
seriously.
the part of my life that I think we never talked about.
Well, never. That's why we was just tuned out. I hope you
Yeah.
guys were tuned in. But thank you for sharing because
Absolutely.
once your mind starts to go and unlock all these memories and stuff you haven't talked about, it just kind of
those are
you
for
kind of
sure,
just
like,
purge
way
it
far
out.
back in the
Purge
You know what I
it.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
you purge it out, and so thanks for sharing
Yes.
with us. That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
super personal for one.
Yep.
I would say, do I know how my parents broke up? No. I know how they got together. They were co-workers. Shout out to the work husband. You too can have 2 kids with him.
Right.
They worked together at the school board. They both already had 1 child, and they developed just a really good, relationship. And my mom has always expressed love by doing. She's going to do. She
Yeah.
especially for kids, for girls, because she had a daughter, and my dad is a little younger than her, and his girl, whatever. So I think. And my dad was outside too. He was like one of them. Like I just remember him telling me a story at a party my mom was dancing with like another guy, and he was like, "I was just about to go get my gun." Like I said enough.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't stop. He he was just on there, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna go get my gun."
You know
And
he
she
was.
did.
You know he wasn't playing.
He was like, "So I just told your mom, come on, let's go." And we had to leave. And I was
And
like,
she abided by those rules.
right. You would never know that side of him. He'll be mad that I told that story because he is a man of the cloth today. But
certain cloth.
I didn't tell you that he was telling everybody.
right. That
Right.
wasn't confident.
He
But
don't
here
live
we
that
are.
life anymore.
Right.
So I don't know how they really broke up. I think I was the pregnancy that happened during the breakup. Like we were already ending because since I was born, they weren't together.
Yeah.
So I believe, and then at that time, my mom did get her tubes tied, but it was like, oops, here we are.
Right.
Fun fact, they thought I was a boy during the
Me too.
ultrasound.
Me too.
Because they were terrible
mom
back
too.
then. Yeah. So I had a bunch of bear stuff, but
Blue and yellow.
right, blue and yellow. I had arm boy stuff,
Blue
but
and yellow.
no,
Right.
seriously. So my dad was around, but at 6, I think 3 or 6, my mom moved on to my stepdad Greg, who's obviously still around. I mean, clearly my dad is still around, but he played more of the pivotal role just because he was in house, and it is a big difference when you in and outside of the home. Like I've always known who my dad is, but it took my stepdad to explain to me the difference. Like, no, that's your father. Like that's your father. Like yes, I'm dad, but that's your father. Like he made a clear distinction between the two because he would walk me to school every day. If I want to go to the pool, teach me how to cook, wash dishes, standing on the little chair because I wanted to help so bad, right? I was a tomboy. I used to like lift weights with him, like fix on cars with him, like whatever I wanted to do or I seeked interest in doing, he supported that.
Right.
The only thing he didn't like to, the only thing he never had done was drop me off at a guy house. Like I would never figure I was in high school
that
and I
was
was
out.
like, yeah, he was like, bitch, you gotta be fucked up.
Right. Ask somebody else.
I was in high
Exactly.
school and I was like, great, like, oh, go to my friend.
Girl.
High school story, no name,
We are
no
not
names.
that cool. Right.
No, nameless.
And
Hilarious.
nameless, and I was like, he take me like it's straight up the street, hint, it's right on Van Ness, and he was like, I'm never taking you to no guy
Hilarious.
house. I would never take you to a guy house, and I'm like, why? But he like, bitch,
What do you think this is?
Right.
Yeah.
We're not doing
I was a
this.
young man too.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
they ended up breaking up because he was a cheater, and he cheated with his best friend's sister. Sorry, mom, but here we are, many months ago.
Well,
So they broke up because he cheated with his best friend's sister. And at the time, this was a story like my mom never shared. I kind of just overheard it because parents talk loud. They use their outside voice inside the house. And turns out that a mutual friend called my mom and was like, mutual meaning like his sister friend called my mom and was like, do you know where your husband at? And she was like, what? Like, I may have the story kind of like screwed, but she's like, do you know your husband at? Because he's right here. And so my mama went over there like Beyonce with the bat walking down the street in that yellow dress and was like, come outside.
Wow.
And then it was an issue from
was a
there,
whole
and it
thing.
was like you got to go because it's like I think at that point, now that I'm an adult, she dealt with like a lot. This was the '90s, from the '90s to the 2000s. I think they officially divorced. I was after high school, if I'm not mistaken. And so I don't know. I think watching her showed me how to genuinely forgive. Like I think I took a lot of forgiveness, and I think as an adult I need to learn how not to be so
So
passive and
Yes.
forgive so much and accept so much. Even though I never saw my mom like cry or wasn't abusive in the household, but it was the stories that came out as I was an adult. However, you know, they now have a good relationship. I still have a great relationship with my stepdad. Like Granny's still Granny. Everybody, we all still family. You know. To this day, and if need be, he's still gonna pull up. Period. You know, so that's like the beauty in it. But she never was like, "Oh, this is why we broke up."
It was never a conversation.
It was just like I can't.
That's crazy.
And I came in the house, and she was taking the stuff out the closet, put it on the bed, and I was like, "What happens? Like he's not gonna live with us anymore?" You know, and I was like, "Well, shit, what the fuck?" You know, why not? And I'm asking my sister, like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know." Like, she just said he's not gonna live with us no more, and it was like, "That's it."
So y'all knew it was something, but of course. You didn't know what, and it's like we were still in the age bracket.
I
so
didn't
when
know
did you find out?
I mean, through time, I kind of just overheard.
Through
time, I overheard her on the phone and stuff like that. You know, because he battled a few different things, and she was super supportive of that.
Right.
But this, I think that was her like. I'm
the
done.
nerve of you. Yeah.
I'm done. And then you got his sister back and you like, fuck him.
Right.
Like, fuck, we tired. You know, like, it's enough. So she chose herself. And I know that's how her and my stepdad ended. But like I said, beautiful story now. This was, over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it's beauty after a divorce. It's beauty after a breakup. The funny thing about that is... he was still on our insurance policy, and it took a long time to like let him go. Cause I'm like, what? Let him go. So you're like, let cut it off. Cause it was still like that need to protect. Like if something happened, I want to. You're still good. But I was like, I was like, man, you remarried, then it's So like it is what it is. But it's still a beautiful relationship and. Again, I think I just learned how to forgive a little too much. I think it caused it to be a little, like too passive, too something of that area.
Say what it sounds like to me, though, and I'll pivot into mine, but what it sounds like to me is that you at least saw the happenings of a married couple and the ups and downs that it encounters. Because so often we run at the first sight of trouble, the first sight of an issue or discrepancy, or the first time you hurt or anything. You know what I'm saying? There's no stick-to-itiveness. There's no let's just, work it out. Right. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Faye, child. Well, my mom, it was like similar to your story. They were only married for a year. Mm-hmm. My mom was pregnant with me when they got married. So she kind of was like, you know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They started pressing my dad. My dad was like, I'm not ready. My mom was on some stuff like, I'm not going to put all your business out there, Mom. But she was on some stuff. She watches
the pod.
Yeah. She like, well, you better, So they end up getting my father to agree to, get married and do the right thing, I guess. And so they just were never good for each other. They never were. I think their relationship was purely physical. My mom was very light-skinned, curvy, cute back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Popping and independent. I got my own stuff. And my pops was from Ohio. He came out here. He was shucking and jiving and dancing.
I didn't know pops was from Ohio.
My dad used to, pull up to the club in limos, and he was dressed fly. He could dance. He was, he had swag, whatever. So she peeped them. It was just purely physical, but the relationship tools that both of them needed in that relationship. My father came from strange circumstances back home with his siblings and his family, and then my mom was adopted. She had major abandonment still, you never really get over that. So major abandonment issues. They just didn't have any tools in their toolbox to start talking about, we about to live together, be married, and have a family. So I never experienced any of that. It was a very strained relationship. And I think their relationship even got volatile at a point, to the point where I think over the course of the years of my childhood, my mom wasn't necessarily the most... she didn't have the biggest desire to reach out to him to make the bridge for us to have that co-parenting relationship, which is why I go so hard with mine and making sure that me and Ken is like this. Because theirs was like, if either you're paying every single month, if you skip on it was very transactional. And so that was their whole thing. I didn't understand the mechanics behind that. I know I would always want to be with my dad all the time. And then, sometimes that would hurt my mom's feelings and stuff. So my mom dated. She never really brought men home. So I didn't know what was going on. I could maybe count on one hand, how many people that I've seen or had encountered. But when we moved back east, that was the first time I got to see her in a relationship situation where I saw her vulnerable, I guess, in a sense. Prior to that, I may have met somebody or whatever, but it wasn't no tears, no nothing. She was just very, very strong all the time. And so when we moved back east, when we moved back east, she had a guy that she was dating. That was the premise of us moving there. So all of her efforts were to, you know, I'm about to start this new life. I have this new guy that I'm dating. You know, it was a lot riding on her moving out there. It didn't work out. I think the guy ended up, he was like cheating on her or something like that. And it's a long story with that because the girl actually ended up coming to our house in the middle of the night. It was like an all-out conversation, like shouting match type situation. He ends up coming as well. It was a whole thing, right?
And you were present. You remember hearing
I was present.
Yeah.
I remember overhearing, and that was the first time I heard my mom cry over a man.
That's tough.
Hearing your parent cry is tough.
That's tough.
Oh my God. And to not really understand, I mean, you understand that something is going on, like the mechanics of like something is happening right now. But of course, again, she's not bringing me to the side like, well, baby, you know, this man, this nigga ain't shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't even want to, you don't want to show your kids any kind of weakness or vulnerability. You always want to be strong for them.
Yeah.
And you want to feel like you're making the right decisions. Again, she had a lot. We had no family out there. She dropped everything,
So
sold
the
her
move
house.
was based on him.
On him.
Oh wow!
And
Didn't
the
know
new
that.
life that they were planning to start together.
okay.
A life that they were planning on starting together. He's like, come out here, come to DC, and whoop, whoop, whoop. And, you know, she'll be able to have a different life. Because, you know, gang culture was super crazy back then, too. And so she just was like, okay, I'm going to just do it. It caused friction with the family. My grandmother, God rest her soul, was like, you effing crazy. It's not going to work. From a mother's perspective, just seeing it, like, no.
Yeah.
She went to go do it anyway. And so me seeing her do that, and in addition to that, he wasn't active with me. So how you guys had men that were dating your moms and they were very active with you. So that was like, okay, you got to, you know, interaction with a man. I didn't have that. I don't know if she kept me distant from him for a reason, because maybe intuitively she felt like he wasn't going to be around, or she didn't really trust him.
Maybe she
I
was
don't
really
know.
pushing for it and really knew something was there.
Maybe.
But still pushing
Or
really
when
for it
she
to
got
try
She
to
was
there,
get
very
like-
protective over
Yeah.
me. So like, but I also felt like if this is somebody that you're dating, I need to be around him. I need to
Absolutely.
vet him too. I need to spend time with him. I need to. So I never really got that hands-on male interaction. And post that relationship, my mom never really dated after that. That kind of messed her up. And that was in 1998.
Wow.
It's 2023. And so if she has dated or done anything, I haven't known about it, you know. But what that did for me was, if you don't have, it's one thing to have a bad example or a good example, but what do you do when you have no example? I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So if I'm dating a guy, I'm winging it. I don't know what I'm
winging
doing.
it.
Until the time where it's time to get I could wing it though, all the way up until the time it's time to get vulnerable. Then when it's time to get vulnerable, I'm like, no. All hands are off. Like I can't deal, because I don't even know in addition to that, it's also a thing of, when you have men in your family, you have uncles, you have dads, you have brothers, you get to learn the male psyche a little bit better, and learning how to interface with them and understand them a little bit better, their differences, the nuances of masculine energy, to the point where certain things won't bother you as much.
Right.
Because you just know, he's just being a man.
Yep.
Look at me looking like girl.
He just,
right.
He just being a man. He just
boys
doing
do-
man
right.
shit.
No,
He
that's a
just,
fact.
you know, well,
That's a
for
fact.
me,
That's a
sometimes it could be like a red flag 911, but maybe it's really not. Maybe it's just, you know what I'm saying? But for me, oh no, I'm not dealing with that. That's what it made me do. It made me feel like I'm not dealing with nothing. If you own bullshit, or if you own weird shit, or if I don't trust you or anything like that, you're gone. I'm out of here.
Is the relationship dynamic between, I want to say, how is the relationship dynamic between you and your dad now? Is he able to, has he been able to step in and give you the game as a grown woman now, though? Because you have to kind of experience
a good
now, but you have to
question,
experience a lot of that on your own.
Right.
As a teenager, maybe going into your 20s, you had to kind of figure all that on your own because you had that void.
Right. Correct.
But now that you're older, do you feel like you can still kind of get that game or those conversations for your father?
And before you answer that, to add to Christian's point, there is two areas of relationships with parents. You know, there's a childhood relationship, then there's an adulthood relationship. You know, and sometimes you miss the first half, but you get the second half.
That's right.
And
you
I'm
know,
on the second half.
And
Same.
I'm on the second half.
It's a blessing.
We can have
Yes.
those conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love the
Yes.
space that
Yes.
I'm in with my parents.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. Same. And my pop's like, like my daddy can do no wrong. I'm a daddy's girl. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's
I feel the same way.
it's not fair.
All that shit he did back in the day,
It's
you're
really
forgiven.
it's really not even fair because it's like my mom is like, he wouldn't. I'm like,
sorry.
I love him.
I love him, and I'm sticking beside him. I'm sticking
But,
beside him, child.
period.
Right.
But yeah, we talk a lot. We've had those conversations of, well, what happened back then? Why weren't you around? Or what's, those kind of things. And so we've had those conversations, and it's been good for the circle back. But a lot of the games, to be honest, I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
A lot of trial and error. Like my mom didn't have a lot to give me in that regard. She gave me a whole lot in a lot of other places. But with that, I don't think she had enough to pull from. And so she kind of looks at me kind of like, well, I don't know how that turned out with you, where you figured something out.
Yeah.
Because you sure did get it from me.
I don't know where you got it from. Yeah, I don't know where you got it from. Yeah.
But I think it's probably like the same thing, like a story, like when it's like the son that grows up without a father. So when he has an opportunity to, have kids and stuff like that, he's super hands-on. He's super. So I think for me, it was more so like, okay, let me really try to invest some effort into keeping a relationship together, figuring my way out through it. And it's not easy. And like I was saying, like, you go through things. You know what I'm saying? You go through ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and it's not going to always be picture perfect. And I think that's really, really important for people to get for relationships. Like, people give up on relationships far too soon, far too easy.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Especially today, in the day of, like, choose you. And I get it. You're right. However, like, it's not always, smiles and Hallmark cards. You're constantly growing and shifting and mending. You know what I mean? Like,
healing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, constantly, and people they're so ready to leave immediately, and it's just like
what's your
seek it
definition
through.
of really holding it down?
Right. I remember Zoe spoke a lot about like allowing a child to see conflict resolution skills.
That's right.
I love that
because you do kind of just leave at the first sight of friction. Right. I'm not going to be a bad example. I'm going to show you, but then you're kind of installing to flee.
Yeah.
Flee the scene. When it gets too tough, you run away. You switch gears. You don't really, see it through. And it's like you have to, because you're going to keep repeating that point over and over and over,
Right.
So, and myself, like, I have an adult relationship with my dad. Like, he was always there when I was younger, but he was so saved that our interest was different. You know what I mean? Like, we had cable, we had rap music, we had everything, and then we go to my granny house, his house, and it's like everything was blocked. Like,
you remember Faye used to block all of my stuff.
That's why we connected. Like, girl, I know,
None of that.
But our adult relationship is much better. It's great.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it is what it is. And, he's remarried, and, she's cool. And
shout out to my stepmama too, Catalina Santana. Just over the weekend, kicking it. That's my girl. This is like a cool like intersection. So over the weekend I saw Creed. I don't know if you guys have seen it. No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
How long is it?
It's like an hour and a half.
I'm like, I got time to see it tonight.
You want to see it tonight?
Are
you?
I might.
You been that spontaneous?
Gemini.
That's
why they love that Gemini child.
Listen, you
let's catch a flight.
Right?
Really, right now?
Listen, you know me.
I'm like, it's 8:30. Like,
he looks great, obviously. I mean, that's beside the point. Right. I'm just saying he looks really great. Both of the brothers' bodies have been well preserved, but. In the movie, it's not a spoiler, but there's a point in the movie where he's trying to kind of sort through some of his issues and baggage from his childhood. His girl that he's with, which is now I think his wife and whatever in the movie now on this one, was trying to get him to open up. Like, dude, like, what is going on with you? Like, talk to me. Like, you know what I mean? Let me know what's going on. And I think just on the topic of conversation that we're having now, it's like, not only are we dealing with our stuff, right, our childhood trauma and baggage, but when you get into the relationship setting, these men are holding so many memories and baggage and pain and anger and resentment and bitterness and all of these different emotions and feelings, and they have no interest in accessing them. And I think it really does take a woman to really have patience to bring it out. But I mean, to what end? Because in the movie, you'll see, like, she's kind of at her wit's end, like just trying to help him figure it out, to walk through and sort through some of these things he had been experiencing as far as flashbacks. And it's like, what do y'all think about that? Like, dealing with men in their issues from how they grew up. Because, I mean, I think men end up talking about that. They'll end up divulging, like, oh, my mom and my dad. You know, they might give you a little bit of context. But
Yeah.
I think it's hard. And it depends, like, becoming that for a guy.
Yes.
Because I don't think they find it in everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's only a few that gets that real
That side of it.
vulnerability, you know, because I don't even think some people don't even know the questions to ask to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Me.
Right.
'cause
Well,
I sure don't.
oh my God.
know.
Well, I mean, I guess this would be a great place to stop. We could want to pick up.
I think it's 8:25, and I think we started a little bit late.
Okay.
So we should probably have a couple more minutes.
Okay, cool. So it's tough. It's tough, and it's really hard because in my experience, it's like for some reason I've gotten guys who have a tough time communicating, right?
Yeah.
So much bullshit come out in their behavior where I kind of like, what's up with you? What's up with you today?
to
Like
me.
what's going
Yeah.
on? Like what happened? Like
Talk to
why the
me.
switch? You know, and then it takes additional, communication and conversation to get it there. But in my experience, it hasn't really been, easy. And then I feel like when a guy do like open up and express himself, it's just like shit. Like damn, it's a certain level of trust.
Yeah, that has to be had.
A deep ass level of trust. And I mean, I've been grateful for those who've gotten that vulnerable because I like to think it's a purpose somewhere. Like, what if our purpose was just to get you to acknowledge
Just you to purge
what
that.
you're to purge that
right.
out. Like if that was literally our being for even crossing,
Right,
like
right.
and that's just I don't take it lightly, but
Right.
it's interesting that I like to think I'm good at communicating. I meet so many people. Like the
Yeah.
men aren't.
Yeah.
So it's
How about you, Kay? It's the
interesting.
same.
really,
Yeah, I totally
quickly,
agree.
I'm just gonna say like I had to be mindful of how I respond. You know what I mean? Like how I respond to what information you're giving me as far as communicating, because I have, when I'm looking back, I'm like, maybe I didn't respond or like reciprocate the right energy to allow him to feel safe to tell me certain things. Because I'm constantly like trying to pull. And when you finally give it to him, like, well, what? Like, I'm attacking you
Because now
low-key.
it's kind of like I have to do so much to get it
I'm
out.
low-key attacking you, and I'm not trying to like intentionally attack you, but I'm attacking you unintentionally because
pulling
it's been
teeth.
so long,
And I'm over it, and I'm irritated.
over it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think what I had to practice was how I respond because the number one for me deal breaking in all my relationship has been communication. We can't properly communicate for some reason. There's some sort of like disconnect on why we can't communicate.
Yeah.
This is not working. So I had to just kind of take a step back and really just focus on like how I respond to the information that you're giving me during that. So
Yeah.
that's what I've kind of learned from certain situations in dating and being with someone. It's like being mindful of how I respond and just listening and not necessarily reacting because men are as we know, men are very, very, very hard to get anything out of.
Yeah.
And once they open up a little bit, like, okay, let me give her an inch. Let me see where I can go. And let me give her 2 inches next time. And then,
a
it's a
common
slow
thread that I've
process.
heard
Yeah.
is so many guys say like I don't talk to people because they use it against me. Like I share something and they get mad, they want to use it against me, and I've heard that multiple times.
Yeah.
Same.
So it's just like damn.
But to what extent? What I do feel though, like in that regard, where it becomes a problem is it's a blocker. It's a blocker, and you can't in a relationship setting, right? Because in any relationship that you have, at some point you're gonna come to a head where your little girl and his little boy are gonna meet each other. Those traumas are gonna talk.
Yeah.
It probably is part of the reason why you guys got together in the first place. But those traumas are gonna make themselves present and available, and you're going to have to deal with them. If you cannot, then you'll break apart. You'll look for comfort elsewhere. You won't deal with the issue. But if you're really trying to build something substantial that's going to last, you gotta get into, okay, well, what happened with you that you feel
You
messed
know
you
why
up?
it's interesting you said that. I remember in my early 20s, and I don't know the pushover part of me, but now I'm just projecting, but here we are. Because that's important, because I used to say like, cheating isn't the worst thing you could do to somebody in a relationship.
Right.
Like, it's so many components around that. Because
Right.
cheating, I sometimes would think is the result of shit if we dig deep enough.
That's right.
Like as you just stated, like you start
Right.
to look out, you're looking for something. And it could be
Right.
something as small as just a
Yeah.
friend and someone else, because shit, that's what you, that, yeah,
anything.
Young me don't have anybody.
Anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Anything,
can't connect with you. I love you, but you're not connecting with that vulnerable part of me because for whatever reason, something about you intimidates me that I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
And
scares me.
Yeah.
Well, same thing. Yeah.
you know, and that could be the young person scared. Like my mom was mad aggressive. I couldn't, you know, row, you know, and then they, you know, look, they start to search outside. But that's what I used to
For
say when
that
I was
peace
young.
and that
Yeah,
comfort.
that's what I used to say when I was way younger.
Deep,
Yeah.
and we don't want
Right.
to consider it to be.
No.
And you know, we can play around as much as we want to and make it as light as we want to, but when you really get into these rooms with a person and you trying to share that kind of personal space, it comes up. And I'm telling you, in that movie, it was crazy. It was like and I think when a man is able to do that, really, I feel like that's the beginning of his journey through finding like true success in life.
Yes.
You know, when he can unlock that and kind of, okay, let me get this out. Let me, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Let me stop projecting. Let me stop, you know, using stuff to pacify me or to substitute. So, let me
Because
just
it shows. It
'cause
comes
it
out.
shows.
It comes out. It comes out in something. You know, it
Yeah.
comes out, rather it's in substance use, overcompensating for something. It comes out and it's like, what the address it.
Address
I haven't saw the movie, so we could pick it up whenever I
Yeah,
see it.
for
So I
sure.
haven't
We'll
seen
talk
it,
about
but
it
We'll talk about it
just
next
that,
episode, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. So we could pick up right there, but this is deep, y'all.
It
is.
Share
Tonight
your
was a little-
stories with us.
Please,
Yeah, share your
please
stories
do.
with
We would
us.
love to hear it. And the safe space is in our DMs, or you can always email us. But I mean, this was nice.
Yeah.
Little venting session.
Thank you.
Little
Yeah.
venting session. Thank
Get
you,
to
ladies,
know
for
us.
sharing.
When the work calls, when the other work calls. But yeah, again, we appreciate everybody that always taps in with us continuously. TrioPod_. Follow, subscribe, like, share. Fuck with us, fuck with us, fuck with us, fuck with us, fuck with us.
And on that note, we will be back next week.
Next week. Appreciate
to talk.
y'all.
Yeah.
Peace. Take care.